Ah, yes, it is Easter. That day each year, my parents bought me new clothes to wear to church. I thought then buying new clothes for Easter was something I would do forever. But then as I got older, I realized I only got new clothes because I had outgrown the ones from last year. Just like I would outgrow that faith one day. My parents weren't very religious. In fact, we only went to church on Easter unless there was a funeral or a wedding. On the drive to church that Sunday morning, too, my father would complain about the nice car the preacher had and his white shoes, and how he had gotten those things from the hard-earned money that the neighbors were giving him. Then after the service, on the way to have our nice Easter lunch, the only time of the year we actually went out and ate, by the way, my father complained about the dollar he had put in the collection pot. He would complain about that dollar all year long, too. Anytime anybody brought up religion or anything like that, he'd say, well, I gave them that preacher $1. And boy, you see those shoes he's wearing and that nice car he's driving and that big old house he has? Yeah, this was a blue-collar town. People worked for a living. They didn't like people who didn't. They didn't like pariahs. And, well, if you didn't work and you were getting money, you were either a preacher or a banker, and neither of them really were very much appreciated in a working town. Now, that Easter visit to church each year made me a spiritual seeker, or maybe I was one already, but I really liked it. I liked going there and figuring things out. And so I began to go to church on my own, more than just on Easter, and I was eventually initiated in that church, that monolithic God church. But as I grew older, I began to look at those teachings critically, and it became clear to me that something was amiss. This put me on my spiritual faith today that has grown from a monolithic faith to Gnosticism, paganism, and eventually my Buddhist faith today, where we honor the heavenly deities. If you've been following my blog for some time now, then you know that I believe the monolithic churches came along at the time truth seekers were getting closer to the spiritual answer than ever before, with the likes of Pythagoras, Plato, Hermes Trismegistus, etc., etc., etc. The age of enlightenment, if you will, for our spiritual being, our teaching. We were coming out of the spiritual dark ages. I believe that enlightenment was giving us a better world, which if that world would have continued on, we would have fewer wars and prejudice than we have today from the monolithic warring gods that are in control. Make no mistake. That's who's controlling all this shit here on earth. And it doesn't have to be as bad as like the war we're having today. Still, it is Easter. It is Easter and the time to rejoice for spring, a new growing season. I got my eggs around my chest here. It's a new growing season, the time of year to replace the old things that we've outgrown, like those clothes on Easter. And so I ask you, brothers and sisters, what have you outgrown this year? What is holding you back? What is keeping you from the altar here today? Can you feel my message? Is it calling you? Is your heart heavy? If so, come on down. The heavenly deities are calling. Okay, I'm not sure where that came from, but if you want to, you can go to esotericdaily.com and you can send me $1 for the collection plate this year. I'll be gladly to take it. And finally, just remember that it is spring. This is Easter time. Nobody owns this day. No one monolithic God does, even though I'm going to get all kinds of posts down here saying somebody does. Nobody does. It's spring for all of us. Let's rejoice together as one. You have your gods, I have my gods, we have all of our gods. Let's just get together, live in peace, stop the wars. Stop the wars.